The best way to describe the MAGA regime is the inmates are running the asylum. There is just no way to sugarcoat it. You have a complete crazy person at the top. I mean, Kanks is completely nuts. He is showing clear signs of dementia. He is surrounded by people who are so morally rotten and evil, and their desires to be cruel and exact cruelty on Black and brown populations, on the LGBTQ plus population is a cancer in this country. And I know you guys probably feel the same way I feel about this. I have a really hard time sharing oxygen with people that voted for this for 3 times and that watch and feed their desire to watch cruelty all the time. It's difficult, but it's important that we stay engaged. It's important that you know what's happening in this country, and it's important that you talk to your friends and family on a daily basis about the importance that none of us are free until all of us are free. And one thing that the United States of America has severely suffered from long before MAGA is medical inequality. And it is immoral, and it's led by a lot of Christians who think that they are better and they don't give a shit if somebody else doesn't have access to health care as long as they and their little darlings do. And now we have head of the HHS, another nut, a complete nut that staged a bear homicide, that has a brain worm, that said he was a terrible student until he started taking heroin, cut off the head of a whale, strapped it to the top of his car, and went on a road trip. And I'm not making that shit up. That's just a day in the life of being an American and who they put to be in charge of shit. And everybody in his own family thinks he's a nut too, for the record. But here he is in front of Congress, and let's listen to one of my favorites, Senator Tina Smith, question him.
Incredible. But let me move on. Just last week, in the days after the tragic shooting at Annunciation Catholic School in my home state of Minnesota, you went on Fox News blaming school shootings on antidepressants. You have no evidence of that because you have no evidence of a connection. And you want to talk about—
I didn't, you're just saying something, you're just making stuff up.
You know, this is what you say, right? Secretary Kennedy, when someone presents—
So this is what they do. They gaslight the public. They go on Fox News and say one thing. And then when they're in front of Senate hearings, they say something entirely different, much like Trump's legal team when they were claiming that he acted publicly on Fox. No, he actually won 2020. And then they get with a judge in a courtroom, and then they go, well, we didn't think anybody would believe that. Of course, we knew he lost. And this gaslighting of the American public and how stupid they think their followers are, and the disrespect and disdain for how they treat the MAGA base. I mean, listen, if they don't give a shit about it, that's fine. But I think the Democratic position should be, we don't get it. We don't understand why you vote for such morally depraved people, but we're still going to vote for you to have health care because we think it's right.
I think that's a great message because I find myself having a hard time feeling empathy for these people because I'm like, you wanted this, you got it. You bought it, you paid for it, now you own it. And something that you constantly remind me about is my empathy shows in my vote, because I will vote to protect these people that, in my opinion, seem to be either too detached from reality or too stupid to protect themselves, because they continue to put in people.
And they're cruel.
They're cruel.
There is a component of American culture where these people are very cruel, where they have no issue, none, with hardworking immigrants that work hard, that come over here, that left conditions in their home countries that were unlivable, and they come over here and they contribute to the economy. These are kind, good, hardworking people. Yet they label them as a criminal because maybe they came here illegally, and they call that their crime. There's no grace. There's no, well, let's help them figure out a way where they can get legal status. There's none of that. It's label them a criminal and send them to alligator Alcatraz and let's torture them. And that is just something that these Americans are going to have to be confronted with by the people in their lives, because they're not going to get it by Fox News. They're going to be fed more and more daily justification for being assholes, for just being completely morally bankrupt. And that cancer in the culture is just going to live far beyond MAGA. And that's what worries me, leaving
Yes.
children here, that they're around people who just, their number one drug of choice every day is cruelty. So here we have Tina Smith responding on Twitter to RFK Jr.'s lying.
We are doing those kind of studies now at NIH. We're launching studies on the potential contribution of some of the SSRI drugs and some of the other psychiatric drugs that might be contributing to violence.
I can't even listen to him. The irony in all this to me is that, yes, he's doing studies. Who's doing the studies? You've gotten rid of the scientists, or they have left because they are boycotting you and telling America he is putting American lives in danger. He is not a scientist. He's not doing studies because he is not qualified to do studies. And it disgusts me that we have this man at the top of the ticket that is a criminal, yet talks about criminals coming from other countries. We have somebody that is completely untethered to reality running the administration. And Robert Kennedy Jr., not only is he incompetent to understand science, he is not tethered in reality. And that's who's running the country.
And back to my larger point, what he is doing is cruel. He is demeaning people that suffer from depression or mental illnesses that might require medication. And he's equating that to violence. And his disparaging comments about people with autism and wanting to have a registry, this is a branch of the cruelty, which is the cascading effect of MAGA. And if you look at the list of all of the people whom they want to categorize and whom they want to be cruel to, it starts expanding beyond just people with black and brown skin and beyond people that are in minority groups like LGBTQ+. But autism and mental illness affects everybody. It doesn't care what your politics are. It doesn't care what your skin color is. And the demeaning language coming out of HHS about mental health, and we have mental health crises, and these are issues that patients and Americans deal with. Every family deals with this. Nobody's exempt from this. And the way they speak about people who suffer from addiction, people who may have an autism diagnosis and otherize them and speak in such a disparaging way, people who have mental health issues that might require medication. His demeaning language right there is very problematic for me. And it is a symptom of this larger component that is happening within our culture. And I'm very, very concerned about it. My husband has suffered from addiction issues and has had to take SSRIs and other medication treatments to help him. And nobody chooses to be a drug addict. Nobody chooses to have autism. Nobody chooses to be trans. Nobody chooses. So we have options as a society. Are we going to trust the experts to find solutions that can help mitigate these things, and then also have messaging from the people who are in charge of us to have more empathetic, understanding language? Are we going to continue to otherize them? And every chance this administration gets, they choose otherizing and demeaning. And I can't imagine what it would be like to have autism or have a child as autism, and then the head of the HHS speaks so disparagingly about you. Millions of people are on SSRIs. And he sits there and speaks disparagingly about him and uses the false equivalency that somehow they promote violence. I mean, this is very dangerous propaganda that is harming people, real everyday people that are just trying to fucking live their lives, and hopefully they can afford their medication. And MAGA thinks so little about Americans that this is who they put in charge. It's mind-boggling, and it's so sad to me. It's so sad to me that 77 million people voted for this. One of the best ways you can support our show is by supporting one of our favorite sponsors. And of course, I'm talking about Ground News. I cannot impress upon you guys what an integral part of our lives Ground News is. When we prepare for these episodes every morning, we go to Ground News because it informs us as to what the left is seeing, what the center is seeing, and what far right wingers are seeing. So you can kind of understand, like, how are we all living in the same country and hearing the same news and coming out with these polar opposite responses? We're not hearing the same news. And that's why this, above all other news sources, is the most valuable. They're basically the Spotify of news, telling you who owns each outlet, where it leans politically, and whether you're reading original reporting or recycled messaging. Here's an example of a story from the left. Here's the headline: not what they signed up for. National Guard troops baffled by Trump's deployment. Here's how the right reports it. Just in, D.C. attorney sues Trump to stop National Guard deployment, claims troops, quote, put safety at risk. So listener, join us by going to groundnews.com/IHIP to get 40% off the Ground News Vantage plan that we use every day. They're subscriber funded, and our favorite part is that they are female founded. By subscribing, you're not only getting a tool we all need today, you're supporting our work. That's ground, GROUND, news.com/IHIP. It's linked right below in the show notes. And last up, we have a doctor, Republican doctor, Senator Casey. I want to play this clip, but I want you to pay attention to Robert F. Kennedy Jr.'s breathing here. And so he forgot to turn off his microphone, and he is just heavy breathing. And this is a guy who says that, Americans are unhealthy. I can spot mitochondrial issues. This guy is as red as a lobster. I don't want to sit around and critique the appearance of this man, but he does not look healthy to me. He looks like he's all roided up. And I guess he goes to tanning beds and stuff, which I heard was bad like since the late 80s, but whatevs. All right, listen to him heavy breathing through here.
Incredible accomplishment. Mr. Secretary, do you agree with me that the president deserves a Nobel Prize for Operation Warp Speed?
Yeah, absolutely, Senator. That was phenomenal.
Let me ask you, but you just told Senator Bennett that the COVID vaccine killed more people than COVID.
Wait,
that was a statement.
I did not say that.
Okay, then let me ask, because you also
Senator, I just want to make clear, I did not say that.
We'll check the record. That's a question of fact. You also said that you were also as lead attorney.
Listen to that breathing.
He doesn't look healthy. He doesn't sound healthy. He's not mentally healthy. And I think, how now, Trump started priming the pump about immigrants. So people were able to dehumanize them. Now you have RFK Jr. doing the dehumanizing of mental health issues, of autism, different people that wouldn't quote unquote be called perfect. And to me, I see this dehumanizing people. So now they can be next on the chopping block.
That's right.
And so we're priming the American public for sick people. And in my head, I just can't help but think of all these things I've been reading that Peter Thiel said. And we know he put J.D. Vance in there, handpicked the elite. The elite should control the masses. So in my mind, is the oligarchy, because they're smarter, because they have elite intelligence, and poor people and sick people, it's okay if we lose them because they're less than us.
Yeah.
They're dehumanizing us. So we're going to have the oligarchy class ruling us, and all the poor people and the sick people and the black people and the brown people, the people that aren't perfect like we are, if they die.
Well, yeah. And there's a lot of Hitler-esque style eugenics talk among these people about genes, about superior intelligence, about high IQ people. So you're exactly right. They are lining up people for the chopping block. But this COVID conversation, it's a very worthy conversation to have. Did we do stuff right? Did we not do stuff right? But I want to point out some facts. Number one, when the country was shut down, Kanks was president. He was the president when the shutdown happened, period. And then in this bizarre turn of events, he's trying to figure out how to treat it. He's talking about injecting bleach, but then he starts tweeting, and he's the MFer. His administration shut it down. He's the president of the United States. His own words, he can do whatever he wants. He starts tweeting, free Minnesota, free Michigan, all this crazy stuff. But most importantly, I want to leave you all with this. over 1 million Americans died of COVID. 1 million Americans died of COVID. And here's a personal story that I can share with you about how dangerous this administration is and how anti life the MAGA regime is. My brother had a friend, and she was a big Fox News thumper, big Bible thumper, big triple Trumper. She hadn't had the opportunity to vote for him the third time, but a major, major Trumper. And he goes over there and says, "Hey, are you going to get the shot?" And she said, "Well, I don't know what's in it." She was sitting there drinking Mountain Dew. And my brother said, "Well, do you know what's in your Mountain Dew?" Well, 48 hours later, that woman was in ICU in Oklahoma City begging for the vaccine. It was too late. And 24 hours after that, she was in the morgue. And the dismissing of so many Republicans, Democrats, independents, human beings that died because of COVID. Everybody did the best that they thought they could do at the time. But for all of the MAGA people to act like all of these shutdowns happened under Biden is just 1,000,000% false. The buck stopped with Trump. He shut the country down. When Biden was back in office in January, the country was up and running again. We were still masking, but there weren't school closings any longer. So there's a lot of revisionist history here in trying to, in the timeline of this. And more than anything that I think is just, it never really gets talked about. Fox News and other news organizations killed people with their messaging and their propaganda. And meanwhile, everybody at Fox had the vax.
Right.
And you couldn't go into Fox News unless you had the vaccine. And then they're promoting all this shit. And people that believed in Trump, that believed in him, and they thought their vote was the right thing to do, family values people, are dead because of that. And I mean, it's just, I don't know how to teach people to care about the truth. I wish I did, but that seems to be a scarce resource in the United States of America. All right. Buy our book, the coolest book of the fall. Life is a Lazy Susan of Ship Sandwiches. It's a great read. The link is below in the show notes. Like and subscribe to our channel. We'll be back later with more news.